going to be assembling a SNO-MASTER 72 chassis with its drawbars and subframe. This process is the same for both the SNO-MASTER 72 and the SNO-MASTER 48 chassis. The difference between the two is that the SNO-MASTER 72 comes with the subframe for the drawbars, where the SNO-MASTER 48 does not. The subframe for the SNO-MASTER 48 comes with the Snow Razor package. What we're going to start with in assembling this SNO-MASTER chassis is that first we need to take it out of the package and also make sure that we have all of the included hardware in the drawbar box. Now we're going to be looking into the drawbar box as well. Now that we have everything out of the box and the drawbars, the hardware kit, the chassis, and the subframe, what we want to do on the SNO-MASTER 48 and the SNO-MASTER 72 chassis is have what I would suggest is two 4x4 blocks about 12 to 16 inches in length that you can lift the chassis and put this underneath. That will make a little bit of a difference as far as giving you ease of movement, things like that, to keep it up off the ground and during the installation process. The next thing to do in preparation for the installation is to remove the thumb screws at the rear of each of these panels, the left and the right, both of them on the 48, because there's only a left and a right. Now with our compartments, so that we can access the areas that we're looking to access are on the very outside edges. There's the hole A from the instructions that we're going to be putting in the pan links. You will find that in the hardware kit, and you're looking for a bag that is marked pan adjustment links and hardware. It has the two long links for us. We're going to assemble and install one on each side. First thing you're going to be looking at is your panel link itself. You'll get the bolt through the washer, through the link, and for right now, whenever you're setting it up, you're going to be putting it through the bottom hole. Then you're going to use the spacer. It looks just like a washer, but it's extra thick washer, if you want to think of it that way. That goes on next. Having a nut ready, you're going to go through and reaching in the inside. And if you use a little bit of leverage, but not too much, you don't want to crease or break the plastic. It should be just fine, but just don't get too with it. Now I just finger tight it on for right now until I can get my wrenches. And once we have it installed, we want it tight enough that it will hold it in place, but yet still be able to move it. We're going to repeat that process on the opposite side as well. The next part that we're going to be adding is the track runners. And they also go on one on each side, just like the pan links. At this point, if you have wings, you would be looking to install them. If you do not have wings, it's just these. So you will, some way or another, you'll have a bolt through all three of those holes. Now, when installing this, you'll notice on the plate itself, there is a square hole and 2 round. The square hole is pointing to the front of the chassis, and we'll take the carriage bolt so that you can seat that in, holding that in place. Reach on the inside and put the nut. I will just, again, finger tight for the moment until I get my 1/4-20s in there as well. Using just use your thumb to hold it, the bolt into that locked position as far as the carriage bolt. And not a lot of movement in this spot. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. Now that we have the pan links and the track runners installed, again, as a reminder, if you were to install the wings, you can install them later. It's just a matter of taking those, the 2 1/4-20s on both sides of those runners and replacing them with the 7/8 length so that it goes through the additional bracket. But the wings would go on the outside of those track runners. Now we're going to go and look to install the drawbars, at least at the chassis end. The bent end, if you want to think of it that way, with the sticker out, decides which side it goes on. We're going to slide it over, gently lay it down. So now they come to a point at the front, which we will attach the hitch plates to. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and secure our drawbars to the chassis. We're going to obtain the hitch plate, which contains the hardware for both the hitch plate and attaching the drawbars themselves. So I can take the 2 hitch plate parts and just have them at the front here waiting for us. What I'm looking to obtain right now is our washers, hitch pins, or cotter pins, whichever you would prefer to use in this case. Both will work and have been included. Put the washer on first, and if you use the hitch pins, be sure to get it all the way in, and then repeat on the other side. Okay, now we're looking at our hitch plates. Notice the top plate has the square holes in it with the receiver attached. The bottom has the round holes and no receiver. So this is attached, but we don't want to tighten it right now until we get our subframe in, if it's on a SM72. So we start with our bolts that you've already installed some anti-seize on, holding it in place. Now I'm just putting them on finger tight for the moment. And as far as if you're having a trouble aligning them, shifting from left to right, once you have the first one in, will help you to get the bolts through. Now I have all 4 of my hitch plates bolts in, and I have them just finger tight just to hold it in place. The reason for that is because of the same reason why we had so that we could wiggle just ever so much left and right to get those carriage bolts in. We'll want to do very similar type of action with putting in the subframe. So as we can see with the subframe, we have uneven lengths. This is the front, the shorter is the front, and before you install it, look at the bottom and you will see that there are small holes. These small holes are what the deflector is going to be installed in. So that wants to be facing towards the ground. So if I'm looking at this, holes are here, the shorter ends are forward, then I will put it like so, and then I will spin it up once I get these back bolts in, pressing the bolt from the outside through the chassis, through the subframe bracket there. And again, I'm just going to lightly tighten or finger tight that bolt on, and then repeat on the other side. So looking to bring the front up, I'm going to rotate into place, bring the bolt from the outside, and what we can see is the shift, the angle, that sort of thing. We want to make sure that we get that aligned, put the bolt through, and then finger tighten the nut on. And now that I have all of the subframe, the hitch plate, drawbars all assembled, I know that it's easier with it loose like that. And now that it's all been put together, we can now tighten everything up. Now our drawbars and chassis are all tightened up and gathered into one unit. One of the last adjustments that we have is back to the first thing that we installed, and that is this pan link adjustment. Now, you'll see why we have that spacer in here. The clearance is absolutely perfect. Now, where the adjustment is depending on where your hitch connects to your towing vehicle. Now, the higher it is, what we're trying to do is have our chassis at the angle so that it's not digging or not keeping the nose below the snow level and trying to keep it so that the snow will pass over, or more importantly is to go underneath the chassis so that it can be groomed. So in your hardware kit, you will have received a magnetic angle indicator, goes on the chassis, and then you're looking for, based on your snow conditions and the height, at what angle you would like this to be at. The chassis is attached at, let's say, that height. We then look at aligning it and putting the pin through and connecting it on this side and doing the same thing on the opposing side. Make that adjustment according to the height and the angle that your chassis. Once it's connected here, as you go moving through your snow and such, this will keep the drawbar and the chassis as a single unit rather than it swiveling on the drawbars. So it's important that you get this linkage correct. Now there are 2 holes on the bottom side of the link pin, and that will either give you or take away about a 1-inch difference as you connect. So if your height is significant and it's difficult to get this level, you can also look at a drop coupler, which we have a 3-inch and a 5-inch drop couplers that will give you the additional height, and you have an inch difference with the pan link itself that you can readjust. Once you have this set up, what you were looking for then is your weight compartment. Remember in the very beginning, we opened these weight compartments so that we could attach the side components here going through the chassis. Now that it's assembled and we're getting ready to groom, you'll notice that in this weight compartment, all three of these areas on the 72, it is has a bed liner type of material in the base of this chassis. And what it's meant to do is to keep things from sliding around, plus give it some extra durability, because the things that you're going to put in there for weight may differ. Most typical uses for weight in these weight compartments include bricks and cinder blocks of some sort. The 6-inch blocks will fit in there real nice, and you can stack them all across. You can also turn them lengthwise and put them in that compartment. Now, what you're looking to do is adjust your weight according to your snow conditions and how often you need to re-groom your trail. Having this accessible, we will use the thumb screws to adjust the weight. So in your tow vehicle, if you're using like a UTV or something, you may have some additional bricks with you so that you can easily open the compartment, add the bricks as needed, close it, and then securing it back with those thumb screws. What that will do for you is give you a nice, even, smooth finish whenever you're doing your grooming. Making sure that the snow is going underneath, and if it does build up, it has this smooth finish rather than collecting as much on top of the chassis, that the bow covers will help that snow to pass right over. Now, what you would like to do is make sure that you have it connected at the right height at the front, the weight in the back, your pan link adjustments correctly set so that your angle is right, and then your grooming experience will be that much easier and that much better. So this is the assembly of our SNO-MASTER 72, and the same things apply for the SNO-MASTER 48.